Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom Marshall. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Today we're going to look at one of the most interesting and provocative history lessons I've ever had at the cinema. Today we're going to look at the film Nuremberg. Let's get into it. So the film is directed by James Vanderbilt. It is also a Sky original production as well that is coming out theatrically in cinemas pretty much across the country and possibly later on Sky itself. It stars Russell Crowe as Hermann Goering, Michael Shannon as Robert H. Jackson, who is the trial lawyer in the film, Rami Malek as Douglas Kelly as the psychologist, Nydia Packman as Leela, Neo Woodall as Sergeant Howie Trist as kind of assistant to Kelly's character, and Colin Hanks as a competitive psychologist coming in. The person in charge of all the proceedings and everything that's going on is John Slattery's character, Colonel Burton C. Andrews. Great cast, great actors. Standout, who I almost left out just then, Richard E. Grant plays Sir David Maxwell Fyfe, who plays the British attaché as part of the Axis alliance. So the film is set moments after the war has ended, World War II that is, and set around sort of 1946. It starts off with the capture of Hermann Goering, played by Russell Crowe, and he is taken to prison and is sent to Nuremberg. And that is where they're going to house the prisoners. That is where they're going to house the remaining survivors of the Nazi High Command. And they're going to place them there, and essentially they are going to basically try them for war crimes, murder, everything, genocide, everything that they did during World War II. They are going to try the remaining Nazi High Command. And so there's a lot of back and forth between the Allies consisting of the UK, France, Russia, and the United States. And so a lot of people are against the trial and literally just want them to go straight to the executions. Other people want them to have a trial and see what the evidence is and everything to do with their role in World War II, and do it justly and do it through justice. And so there are some very sort of like opposing ideas of what should be done with the rest of the Nazi High Command. Everybody decides that ultimately the best thing to do is to have this trial. This will be the trial of the century, and essentially it is the first of its kind, where that is where really the story kicks off, is where they have the Nuremberg trials. So they gather up all the evidence, all the paperwork, everything that they could get their hands on. Also, yeah, they bring in the other allies as well. So, like I said, the UK, British, French, Russian, US, all coming together, working together for this trial. And so they also bring the aid of psychologists to try and get them ready and fit for trial. And that is where Douglas Kelly comes in. That is Rami Malek's character. He is the one who has to ascertain the psychology and the mental health of the prisoners, essentially. And so he interviews each of the high-ranking officers in the Nazi High Command. But their main goal is Hermann Goering, played by Russell Crowe. And it's really sort of a cat and mouse game between Hermann Goering and Douglas Kelly, Rami Malek and Russell Crowe's characters, going cat and mouse, head to head, sort of a battle of wills per se. And so who can outsmart who, and who is willing to reveal what and when, and what will one person do out of desperation. You know, one's looking for survival, other is seeking information, and one is trying to get the most out of this person. And so, yeah, battle of wills between two people, and it is really, really compelling, despite it just being in a cell and just two of them talking. So, like I said at the start of the video, I really did think that this was a very interesting history lesson, because I had no idea about what happened around this sort of time. I felt that it was really sort of well directed. The shots were amazing, even though they were like prison cell shots. It was quite confined, and then they spread out a bit more during the courtroom scenes, which you wouldn't have thought would be cinematic, but actually they do a very, very good job here. Almost feel like an observer, almost feel like you're part of the courtroom as someone in the crowd watching and observing everything that is going on. The costumes, the script, everything I felt was pretty good on that front. One thing I would say and add to this is that I'm not the smartest bunch. There were a few times where I had to sort of like get my brain working and head around some of like the geopolitical stuff, the lawyer speak. To me, just went over my head. I'm thick as shit. So, but despite that, like I still found it very interesting and compelling watch. And so, don't let that detract you from going to see this film. They don't overly sort of fill it with that sort of jargon. But yeah, I mean, to me, it was just like, huh? Yeah. So I'm not that smart. And the casting was really well chosen for the most part. For the most part, what I found particularly great was the scenes between Rami Malek's character and Russell Crowe's character. It was their to and fro, they're outsmarting each other in those interview scenes, and you know they're all sort of outwitting each other and going back and forth and trying to get as much information out of each other. And those are the scenes you sort of really pay attention to when you're watching this film. Also, you pay attention very much so to the courtroom scenes. They were really harrowing. Another cinema experience that I'm never going to forget. Very much like in A Real Pain, that came out earlier in the year with Jesse Eisenberg. They actually go to the concentration camps in person, and the cinema screen was just like completely silent. It was really sort of eerie. And again, same sort of thing here in the courtroom scenes where they show actual wartime footage of the concentration camps and everything that was going on at that time in this scene. And even the idiots that were sitting behind me, these teenagers or kids or whatever it is, they were talking quite loudly to start with, shut up completely. And it's really, you know, quite respectful. And, you know, they just sat there and watched. And you can feel the tension in the room, in the cinema screen. And you were like quite shocked seeing some of the video footage from that time. Where they got that footage from, I do not know, but it was really sort of well done how they cut it into the footage, which is really, really great. A lot of the film is actually really sort of well made and really well done, but I do find that it's not without its faults, mainly in regards to some of the acting. I do find that Michael Shannon as the lead lawyer, I find he was a little bit flat at certain points. Certainly to start with, but I think he shines more in the courtroom scenes. I found that, yes, Russell Crowe was very good, especially when he made the twist from, you know, survival to showing his true colours to Rami Malek's character. That was really sort of like, wow. mind blowing. The way he turned like that was just like quite remarkable. But what I did find was his accent work did tend to waver a little bit. I don't know where he studied the accent from, or where he drew his inspiration from for his accent. I don't know, but that did waver a little bit. But that's just a minor thing with Russell Crowe's performance. Rami Malek's performance was okay. I did find that he was a little bit up and down when it came to his character arc and his acting choices. One minute he was this sort of energetic, proactive psychologist who would want to learn as much as possible, and then would dial it back, and then bring it back up again, dial it back. It was very up and down. But again, where he shines most was mainly the conversations he was having as Douglas Kelly with Hermann Goering in those interview scenes. That was where he shined the most. Not bad, but not 100% perfect. For me, the standout performer of the whole scene, of the whole film, even though he only had a few scenes, was Richard E. Grant as the British attaché Fife. And so what he did with what he had was pretty remarkable. His courtroom scene where he comes in last minute to save the day was amazing, using Hermann Goering's sense of pride and country and self and ego against him, asking the question of, like, essentially saying, if you know what you know now, would you still follow your leader? And it was like a powerhouse moment. He was terrific. I really felt Richard E. Grant, if he doesn't get at least a BAFTA supporting actor nod, then I give up. I give up. But across the board, everybody played their part. Everybody did a really good job here. It's just a few minor things that I think could have really elevated the film even more. Overall, I think this was a very compelling and interesting history lesson of the time, and really up there at one of the great sort of World War II films that have come out in recent years. And Sky really treated the uh, material and the subject matter with grace and with elegance, and didn't blow it up too much or glamorize it in any way. And so I feel like they actually respected it very, very well, which you kind of have to. I mean, it's a very poignant part of our history. So a few great character twists in there as well, especially with Theo Woodall's character. He was pretty decent. Definitely a showcase for him and his talents. Go see it in the cinema. It will come out on Sky eventually. It is a Sky original. They normally do put their stuff out on their platform as well. But yeah, definitely check this film out. It's definitely going to be up there for award season. I feel it's definitely that type of a film. Russell Crowe, no doubt, will probably get a Best Actor nomination, I'm sure. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what your favorite World War II film is, or TV series, or yeah, let me know in the comments and in chat. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.